Good morning, hello and welcome to Money Control's live stream. You're tuned into a fresh new edition of Opening Bell with me, Lovisha Darad. Well, after 2 days of straight gains, the GIFT Nifty is once again pointing out to a positive start this morning. If you look at the pre-open rates, well, Sensex is up about 100 points and Nifty is also up by 30 points. So yes, a flat to positive start for the Nifty, that is indicating in the pre-open, but we'll watch out whether this recovery is sustainable. But we have a mixed morning handover from the global markets. The Wall Street indices were down overnight amid sell-off in tech stocks. US futures were also flat ahead of the US Fed's interest rate decision. Now, the spillover was quite visible in the Asia-Pacific markets also, as mainland China and Hang Seng was down. But if we look at the Japanese markets, they were higher ahead of after the Bank of Japan kept rates on a steady note too. Now, so whether or not India can defy this global handover, which is coming in muted, is something that we need to watch out in today's trading session. Now, we'll take some stocks in focus too. Steel stocks especially is going to gain some limelight as DGTR has proposed about 12% safeguard duty on select steel products. So Tata Steel, SAIL, JSW Steel, all of these stocks will be in focus. LIC also will be in focus as the management did say yesterday that they do plan to enter the health insurance market. So we'll take up more as we go. Don't forget to drop in your stock related queries on our live feed and we'll take them up shortly too. Before we move things further, let's take a quick look at the top headlines this hour. Stocks in Wall Street pullback resuming a sell-off after 2 straight winning sessions. The Dow drops over 250 points while the S&P 500 and Nasdaq slip over 1% ahead of Federal Reserve's interest rate decision tonight. Stocks in the Asia Pacific is also trading mixed ahead of Bank of Japan's interest rate decision. Crude prices have eased by about 1% on the back of possible easing of sanctions on Russian fuel exports. Meanwhile, gold prices have hit another record high with investors seek the yellow metal as safe haven conflict tensions flare in West Asia. Russian President Putin and US President Donald Trump agree on steps towards complete ceasefire and peace deal to end the war in Ukraine. In a phone conversation lasting 90 minutes, the two sides agreed on energy and infrastructure ceasefire. The government has proposed 12% safeguard duty on select steel imports for 200 days to protect domestic producers. The temporary tax aims to curb rising imports and stabilize the domestic prices. And after a 9-month mission, NASA astronauts Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore safely returned to Earth. The SpaceX crew capsule made a successful splashdown early this morning, bringing a 9-month ordeal and end. Alright, if you look at yesterday, well, the markets did embark on a very positive note and we did hit a 1-month high, and both of them indices recorded the biggest single day gain in nearly 2 months. We saw Nifty reclaim those 22,800 mark and Sensex also crossed past that 75,300 mark. All the sectoral indices were in the positive territory. Broader markets saw big gains. We saw that the midcap rose 2% and the small caps also gained about 3%. If you look at some of the sectoral leaders, autos and financials, they were the top gainers. And like we were talking about the FOMC decision, which is going to be keenly tracked to understand, what Jerome Powell's hint towards the interest rate decision is going to be for the later of the year also, because this time, majority of the market participants are anticipating the Fed to hold rates steady this time once again. But let's take a look at what today's trade setup looks like. Well, the first up on your screen is the option queues data. If you look at the Nifty put call ratio, that has risen to about 1.29 levels, which is your first since about December 3rd, 2024. So yes, quite a positive move which is coming in for the markets. We can see that the bullish sentiment in the markets is slowly and gradually building up. Next is your F&O ban list. Well, the stocks that continue to be retained, that includes the likes of BSE, IndusInd Bank, Hindustan Copper, Manappuram Finance and SAIL. None of the stocks have been removed in the F&O ban list, yes. But moving to the fund flows data, well, the FIs, they have turned buyers after nearly 1 month or so for the Indian markets. They have bought stocks which is worth about nearly 700 crore rupees in the cash market. So that is good news coming in from the FI flow front. DIIs, on the other hand, they have also bought the stocks which was worth about 2,500 crore rupees in the cash market. So quite a bullish sentiment which is coming in for the markets. So yes, a turnaround which is also expected for the markets in the coming days. But yes, the pre-open rates are pointing out to a good start. And before without much further ado, let's quickly get on board with our technical expert of the show. Joining me is Rajesh Palviya of Axis Securities. Rajesh, let me start. It looks like a happy morning once again. Nifty has crossed past that 22,800 mark. Do you believe that 23,000 is soon on the charts?
Good morning, Lovisha. So looks like that, yes, we may again, reclaim to the 23,000 level in this continuation of pullback. In the previous day, Nifty and Bank Nifty both managed to, cross 20-day moving average. So that's the positive development on the technical front. As well as we have witnessed the short covering action also in the Nifty and Bank Nifty. Both indices have witnessed short covering action. Nifty is now able to hold about 22,800. That's the important level to watch for in the next coming days. So if we sustain about 22,800, yes, there is a possibility that this rally can extend to 23,000. That's the next important supply zone based on the call concentration. So I think possible up move can extend in the today's session also. Those who are traders in nature can trail their stop loss now towards 22,750 to hold their position. And even for the Bank Nifty also, we believe that, as the Bank Nifty has also shown a very remarkable rally in the previous day. And looking at the data setup, I think 49,000 is the important level to watch for. If we sustain above 49,000 level, I think here also we may see further more traction on the buying side. Possible rally can extend to 49,600 to 700 for Bank Nifty. So again, for traders, the trailing stop loss for Bank Nifty is now placed at 48,900. Till these levels are intact, I think minor dip should be used as a buying opportunity and hold their trading position for further more upside in the Nifty as well as for the Bank Nifty.
That's right. Good moves coming in. But Rajesh, what about the mid caps and small caps? Because they are showing a good recovery too. But do you believe that this is short lived? Because the valuations still, everybody is talking about that they are still trading at a premium levels.
Looking at the market breadth, we believe that in the mid cap as well as in the small cap, both indices, both space has also attracted good buying interest in last couple of days. I think till Nifty is holding above 20-day moving average, I think further more traction we may see in the Nifty mid cap also. Nifty mid cap managed to give breakout of its falling trend line on a daily chart. So looking at this breakout, we believe that there could be further more upside, possible upside towards 49,800 to 49,900 we may see in the Nifty mid cap index. So I think here also one can hold their position, and I think furthermore broad-based buying action we may see in the next couple of days for the market.
Okay, broad-based buying. Just less than 10 seconds to go before we hit the opening bell. But Rajesh, quickly, what should be the traders' overall strategy, when the market is expected to turn around? Should they sell on every rise that we are seeing or accumulate at these levels?
So I think market has shown recovery from oversold trajectory. So I think some more relief rally sort of action we may see in the market. So wait for furthermore upside from the here onwards. Some positive sentiments are turning on the street. Oversold stocks are showing buying action. So I think wait for another couple of days. Then I think if it's not crosses 23,200 or 23,000 level, then one can try to book profit or can initiate short position, but I think at this moment wait for further more upside.
Okay, all right. The first trades coming on your screen. Well, we've opened quite in the positive territory. We can see that the Sensex is up about 2 points, flat in the green at this point of time, but still above that 22,800 levels that we have opened at. Very slim gains. We are trying to hold despite the muted global handover that we saw. Sensex is also flat in the green at this point of time. 75,300. It's still holding above those levels. Let's see whether or not it's sustainable going through the session. But let's look at some of the sectors which is doing well. We can see that the Nifty metal pack is doing well, 1.6% gains coming in there. If you look at some of the gainers, we can see Tata Steel, JSW Steel definitely after the safeguard duty which the government has announced, we can see that the steel stocks have been in the green. So that is what is holding well for the Nifty metal index also. If you look at the Nifty IT index, that remains to is seeing a bit of a profit booking after yesterday's rise. 1% downtick coming in for the Nifty IT index. Nifty Pharma index unchanged at this point of time, but let's look at Nifty private banks. Private banks are doing well. PSU banks are also holding well, 7.7% gain at this point of time coming in. If you look at Bank Nifty index, still holding well. 49,400 mark, that is what we are seeing right now. And Nifty Auto Index is also showing a bit of resilience, flat in the green at this point of time. So yes, all in all, we are seeing a good, open, but a very slim gains. That is what we are seeing. We were hoping that we can see 22,900 today, but let's see whether or not this is going to be possible. Let's look at some of the top gainers on the Nifty. As I was talking about the safeguard duty that has been announced by the government, we can see the steel stocks rallying in the tandem. Tata Steel, JSW Steel, top gainers on the Nifty 50. 2% gains, 2.5% gains coming in for Tata Steel. JSW Steel also up by about 2.4%. Coal India up about 0.8%. Apollo Hospitals doing well, 0.7% gains coming in for Apollo Hospitals too. On the other hand, if you look at the contrary picture of Nifty, if you look at some of the IT names are not doing well. They are dominating the Nifty 50 losers pack. TCS, HCL Tech with about 1% downtick that is coming in. Tech Mahindra with about 0.6% downtick. So yeah, some of the IT names are dominating the Nifty losers pack. Trent, ICICI Bank also seeing about 0.3% cut. Rajesh, as I was talking about the steel stocks, the government has also recommended a temporary tax of about 12% on some steel products for about 200 days. In order to bid some, curbs the imports and protect the domestic producers also. How do you expect this news to play out, given that majority of the metal stocks have also been on the rise over the past 1 month?
Yeah, most of the stocks have already, factored these kind of, announcement in the prices. Most of the stocks have already shown a good traction in last couple of weeks. I think it was expected by the street. Most of the stocks now, trading near to their, previous swing high. Like if we analyze on the JSW Steel, I think stock is now negotiating with its previous swing high of October 2024, which is placed at around 1045 to 1050 zone. So until the stock not crosses about 1050, I think some supply pressure or some profit taking we may see at this level for JSW Steel. But near term structure is still on the bullish side. So those who wants to buy stock, I think wait for breakout about 1050. If it's happen, then yes, one can look to buy JSW Steel about 1050. Then possible target towards 1100 we may see in the short term. But till the stock not crosses this level, wait for some cool off action towards 1010 level, and that's the important level on the near term perspective also. Again, on the Tata Steel, a very strong rally in last couple of weeks, and looking at the structure, I think stock is now negotiating with its major resistance zone of 160. If it crosses, then extension of a rally would be there. But till the time it's not crosses, I think here also some profit taking we may see towards 160 zone. So those who have already bought at lower level should trail their stop loss now at around 154. If it's hold 154, then continue the long position, and above 160, possible rally can extend to 168. So those who have bought at lower level, my advice would be to book some partial profit around resistance level, as I mentioned about Tata Steel as well as for JSW Steel.
Okay, all right. Well, let's take some viewer queries, because that has been piling up. Well, the first query coming in from Naveen is asking the views on Zomato. Rajesh, if we look at from December levels, from 300 odd levels, it's come down to 221. Do you expect further underperformance for Zomato, or can we expect a turnaround from here on?
So after a significant correction, stock has taken the support from its important support area of 200 level. So 200 to 195 is the zone where stock is having a multiple support area. So again, there is a pullback action from those level. In this pullback, stock now managed to cross its 20-day moving average, but again, struggling to cross its 50-day moving average. But still, near-term structure is still on the weak side. So I think those who have bought at lower level should try to book some profits around 224, 225 zone, which is a major steep resistance for the stock in this pullback. If stock manages to cross about 225, yes, there could be extension of rally. But I think looking at the structure, I believe that some profit taking would be there around 220 to 225 zone. So those who are trader can book some profit in the downside. Again, if you get opportunity to buy around 210 to 205 zone, which is again a good level to re-enter in this stock.
All right, let's take another stock in focus, that is your NTPC, because the stock has been reacting well. 1% gain coming in for NTPC. The company has announced plans to issue their unsecured NCDs, which is worth about 4,000 crore rupees on March 20, which is your tomorrow, through a private placement method. Rajesh, the stock has exhibited quite the resilience in the past month. What do you expect the near-term holds for the stock?
I think whole power pack has shown good traction in last couple of days, and NTPC is one of the stock. Looking at the overall structure, we believe that we may see further more upside momentum in NTPC as the stock is trading in upsloping channel on the daily chart. Again, on the moving average front, 20-day moving average has given a crossover to 50-day moving average on the upward side. So that's the sign of trend reversal in the stock. So we believe that till the stock is holding above 330 zone, I think there is a possibility of 355 to 360 target in the near term to short term perspective. So I think one should hold their position, or fresh buy can be deployed in NTPC as structure is looking positive for near term to short term.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to another viewer query. That is, your Satya is asking whether or not it is time to add Mankind Pharma for long. What do you recommend, Rajesh? Because the stock has seen about 25% cut in just 2 months, and the Q3 was also not very promising on the counter.
Yeah, so this is the third consecutive month where stock is forming lower high-low formation. That clearly shows that there is a sustained supply pressure. During this quarter, almost stock has corrected more than 25%. Looking at the near-term, short-term structure is still on the weak side. A series of lower top, lower bottom formation is there in the stock. There is no sign of reversal despite market has recovered almost 1,000 point from its recent low on the Nifty. But this stock is still showing weakness. So I believe that we may see furthermore downside in the near-term perspective. So wait for some support buying action to emerge in this counter, then try to average out at this juncture, avoid it. We may see furthermore down move towards 2050 2000 kind of level also. So until the stock not crosses above 2250 2300 level, trend is likely to remain on the bearish side.
All right. All right, let's move on to another viewer query. That is, your Epic is asking the views on PVR Inox. PVR Inox, how does the stock look like on the charts, Rajesh? Because we've had some strong releases. Chava was one of the, Chava was the one of the release that actually helped pop up the stock in recent days also. But what is the near-term hold?
Well, still, structure is on the weak side. Some recovery in line with the market we have already witnessed in this stock, but stock is not showing further follow-up buying action until the stock not crosses about 1,000 level. Trend is likely to exhibit on the bearish side only. So wait for 1,000 level to cross, then only we may see some substantial recovery or rally in this counter. Till it's remain below 2,000 level, there is a possibility again we may see some down move on the breakdown below 930 920 zone. I think we may see cut towards 860 level also.
860 levels also it can see. But let's move on to another viewer query. That is, your Ashish Parekh is asking the views on Federal Bank for a long-term perspective. What does the long-term charts indicate, Rajesh? Because the management also indicated that they plan for the next fiscal year, by 2-3 years they plan for the private lender to be among the top 4. So do you believe that the charts also have a strong bullish prospect on that front?
Yeah, definitely for long-term perspective, charts are still on the bullish side if we look at the yearly and quarterly charts. So I think still stock is showing the strength on the long-term chart. Yes, there is some weakness on the near-term perspective, but I think if you want to buy for long-term perspective, this correction is giving you again opportunity to buy and accumulate the stock at lower prices. So on the downside, 165 is the major support area for long-term basis. So buy and accumulate in this decline. Keep your stop loss around 165. On the higher side, 200 is the major challenging zone for the stock. Once the stock crosses about 200 zone, I think stock again resume its upward trajectory, and then possible target towards 245 to 260 we may see on the long term perspective.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to another view. Okay, Ashish is also asking for Tata Motors whether or not it is a good bet for the long term. What do you believe, Rajesh? Because a couple of brokerages have also come out and said that after 2 to 3 quarters of derating, the valuations look reasonable on the front of Tata Motors. Do you believe so? Or do you concur with this view?
Yeah, definitely. After this correction, valuations are looking attractive for Tata Motor. We have already witnessed some recovery from the level of 600. It's almost now trading at 680 level. So, if you wish to buy this stock for little medium term to long term perspective, I think yes, it's a good level to again buy and accumulate the stock for investment perspective. But for trading point of view, the immediate hurdle for the stock is placed at around 700 zone. So for investment, we believe that yes, buy and accumulate in the range of 680 to 640. That's the attractive level to buy and accumulate. For long term, once stock crosses about 700 zone, I think there is a possibility that we may see a extension of rally towards 800 to 850 zone also. So buy and accumulate would be the strategy for investment perspective for trader. 700 is the level where if you get opportunity, book some profits.
Okay, all right, 700 levels where we can book profits for Tata Motors. But we have another viewer query, Shweta Naidu. She's asking the view on Trent, whether or not it is a good time to enter Trent at the current price. Well, Rajesh, the stock has been, trading near its lows also. So what do you believe, that is this the right time to accumulate at these levels?
So there is a recovery from the lower level. Looking at the weekly chart, after almost consolidation of 3 4 week, stock managed to give breakout of that consolidation zone. In this process, stock is now holding about 20-day moving average since last 4 5 trading session. So I think stock is recovering in line with the market action. Those who have already bought at lower level can hold the position with stop loss of 5100. If it's not breaks below 5100, there is a possibility to have furthermore upward momentum towards 5400 to 5500. That's the level where again one should review it.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to another viewer query. He's asking the views on ITI, on how the stock looks like. Rajesh, how does the stock look like on the charts? Because if we look at the 3 months perspective on ITI, 6 months perspective, the stock has corrected decently by about 10%, but still not very much, not a very sharp correction compared to what the markets have been witnessing. What is your near-term prospect?
So I think stock has shown a recovery from the lower level, but still trend is on the weaker side. If you look at the little longer period, still stock is in a series of lower top, lower bottom formation. But in this recovery, I think 270 is the major supply zone for ITI Limited. So I think those who have bought at lower level can book some profit around 270. Until these levels are not taken out on the higher side, we may see again, some consolidation. On the downside, the important support is placed at around 240 zone. So 240 to 270 would be the range for the stock in the near term to short term perspective.
All right. Let's move on to another viewer query. That is he's asking the views on IDBI Bank. Kishore is asking the views on IDBI Bank. Rajesh, how does the stock look like on the charts? Because past 1 month we can see that the stock has been quite range bound, just about 1.5% gains. Do you believe we can reach about 100 levels or so in the near term? Because that was the 52-week high.
Yeah. So stock is consolidating since last couple of week, and looking at the near term, short term structure, the major supply zone is now placed at around 77 zone. If stock crosses 77, I think next target on the high side would be around 82 to 84 zone. But stock is still in the weak zone. If we analyze on the near term, short term perspective, 50 stock is not able to cross its a 50-day moving average. So I think if you have a little longer horizon, can buy and accumulate the stock as some sign of bottoming out is there on the near term chart. But still confirmation will come once the stock crosses above 82 84 zone. If that happens, yes, there is a possibility of really to extend towards 90 to 95 kind of zone.
Okay, all right. We have another viewer query, Rajesh. That is your Shravani is asking that she's in 15% profit in Kotak Bank and 3% profit in HDFC Life. So, what are the target prices for both and stop loss on both the counters? What is your view? Any thoughts, Rajesh?
So Kotak Bank is one of the outperforming private banking stock in this kind of market. And looking at the overall structure, we believe that there could be further more upside we may see in this stock as stock is showing good traction on the higher side. A long built up is there in the data. So possible upside target towards 2080 to 2090 on the near term perspective. Trail your stop loss now towards 2010 if you have bought this stock for trading point of view. So 2010 should be your stop loss for Kotak Bank. Again, in HDFC Life, stock is now crossed above to its 100-day moving average. Looking at the near-term structure, stock managed to give breakout of its multiple supply zone at around 640 level. So trail your stop loss now towards 630. 630 is your stop loss to hold the position. Possible upside towards 660 we may see in the near-term perspective.
Okay, all right. Let's move on to another viewer query. That is your, he's asking the views on HFCL. HFCL, how does the stock look like on the charts? Because if we see, very sharp underperformance in the past 6 months also, nearly 50% cut, Rajesh. And even the Q3 also results were not, they were quite disappointing. Any views on that front?
Some recovery is taking place in this stock, but again struggling to cross its 20-day moving average on the higher side. 85 is the major challenging level for the stock. If at all stock crosses above 85, then some pullback towards 90, 92 we may see in the near-term perspective. But still, looking at the near-term, short-term structure, I think it may take time to cross 85 zone because still there is a mild buying action. There is no as such a substantial buying action is happening in this stock, though stock is in F&O also. So still short built up is there in the system. So above 85, yes, we may see some short covering action that could take stock higher towards 90 level. At this juncture, keep your stop loss around 77 if you are holding the position.
All right. Just one last question before we let you go, Rajesh. What are your top picks at this hour? Because we're seeing a little bit of rebound in the markets, but what are your top buying picks?
So I think some traction we may see in the real estate space. So Lodha can be looked at, Macrotech developer can be looked at as stock managed to give breakout of its falling channel on a daily chart. So that's the sign of trend reversal. In the previous day also we may see some buying action in the most of the real estate space. So Lodha can be looked at possible upside target towards 1185 to 1190 we may see. Keep your stop loss towards 1120 to buy Lodha. Again, capital market related stock has also witnessed good traction in last couple of days. So I think from that space, CAMS is also looking bullish. The way stock has moved up in last two trading session, I think stock is now negotiating with its 50-day moving average. There could be some more upward momentum towards 3850 to 3900 for CAMS. So here one can look to buy this stock with stop loss of 3680. Another stock that we like at this juncture is from that is Voltas. That stock is also looking attractive, and the way stock is moving on the daily chart, we believe that we can see 1575 to 1580 target in the near term to short term. So Voltas is buy with stop loss of 1490.
All right, Voltas, CAMS, those are the picks that we need to eye out for too. But thank you so much, Rajesh. Thank you for answering our viewer queries so patiently, and hope that we connect with you soon. All right, let's take a quick check of the markets at this point of time because we did open with some amount of gains, but right now Sensex is up about, down. It's flipped into the red at this point of time. Sensex down about 54 points. Nifty is also down about 20 points at this point of time, but still holding above that 22,800 mark. So we have flipped into the red as we were anticipating because we did open with quite a slim bit of gains at that point of time. But what is contributing to the losses? That is definitely our Nifty Auto Index with about, which is flat in the red at this point of time. Nifty IT Index index with about nearly 2% cut that is coming in. Some gains have also been trimmed on the mid caps and small caps front, but however, they are holding well, quite well. Small caps have been outperforming with about 1.4% gains, and on the other hand, even mid caps have been outperforming with about 0.8% gain. So while the headline indices have been flipped into the red, the broader end of the markets that is showing good signs of resilience. But let's move on to the next guest of the show. Joining me is Anil Rego, founder and fund manager at Right Horizons PMS. Anil, good morning. Let me start. Yesterday we saw FIs turning net buyers after a month. Do you see better days coming for India? Anil, I think you're mute. Your mic is on mute. Could you just turn on your mic? All right, yeah, we'll just connect back with Anil in just a bit of time. But as I was talking about the general markets at this point of time, as I was saying that the Sensex and Nifty have flipped into the red at this point of time. However, the broader end of the markets that is showing some signs of resilience. So yes, good gains coming in from the broader end of the markets. If you look at the Nifty IT index with about 1.7% of cuts coming in. Yesterday we saw a break in the downturn that we saw in Nifty IT index, and today once again it has turned bogged down, and once again we can see 1.7% cut which is coming in. If you look at some of the top gainers on the Nifty 50, that includes the likes of Tata Steel, JSW Steel, NTPC. So all of the steel related stocks, they are doing well given that the government safeguard duty is on. SBI also doing well. PSU banks have been holding well. On the other hand, private lenders, a little bit of a muted participation, but otherwise PSU banks have been holding well. Grasim, Apollo Hospitals doing well with about 0.7 to about 0.8% gains. On the other hand, Nifty IT index as contributing to the trims of the overall market structure. TCS and HCL, Tata Tech Mahindra, all of them seeing about 1.5% cut to nearly 2% cut. TCS definitely one of the lead underperformers at this point of time. Trent, on the other hand, also showing a bit of downturn, 0.8% downtake. Cipla with about 0.7% downtake coming in for Cipla too. But let's try to reconnect once again with Anil. All right, we are not able to connect with Anil at this point of time, but let's see how the other stocks are doing at this point of time. Let's see, Cipla is with about 0.7% downtake. Hindalco also with about 0.6% downtake. Let's take a look at some of the gainers on the mid cap and small caps front. Well, Persistent Systems is doing well with about 2% gains. Coforge with about 2.1% gain. Phoenix Mills is also with about 1.7%. So these are all the losers on the mid caps front. On the other hand, if you look at the mid cap gainers, they include the likes of JSW Infra, SAIL with about 4 to 3% gains. So yes, a good set of gains which is coming in for the broader end of the markets. However, we have to see whether or not we flip towards the green as we did during the past 2 days. So that is something that we need to watch out on. But we have the Federal Reserve meeting which is due tonight. We'll be watching out what the Fed chief has to say and what the hint has to say for the remaining of the year, because this time they are expected to hold rates steady at this point of time. But we'll watch out whether or not they move on with their rate cuts ahead in the later of the year. But with that, we have come to an end of this edition of the Opening Bell. Don't forget to tune in at 3:30 p.m. for Closing Bell. We will be joining in with our market expert of the show, and we'll discuss about how the markets have developed and what the stocks were in focus. Until then, signing off. Do stay tuned to moneycontrol.com for all the news updates and market insights.